So, the WNBA have signed a new media deal, and Cheryl Miller came out basically to say that it wasn't enough. It was not enough. And you know what? If you know the structure of the deal, you know that it's like the deal made sense and it's guaranteed money with an option to renegotiate. But she is right. The money is not enough. Like 200 million a year is not enough. Like obviously they can like negotiate some things, but it is without question not enough. And the big thing with that is like they have, with the viewership they're getting and the growth the league is going to see, as long as they don't screw this up. And like the commissioner, as much as individuals want to screw it up in the league, the commissioner doesn't. But unless they screw this up, it's going to be worth a lot more than 200 million a year. Before we get on to, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We are trying to hit 25,000 subscribers as soon as possible, or 24.5k, sorry, only 70 off. But you can see right here, the rights deal to receive 2.2 billion over the next 11 years. And obviously, they negotiated the WNBA's new deal. So the NBA negotiated it as part of its rights talks. So it's part of the NBA deal. But you can see here that doesn't say it here, but there is a renegotiation period. They have the ability to renegotiate after 2023 years, I think they can renegotiate. But like this starts off in 2026. So by the time that the renegotiation period is in, we will see whether or not the WNBA is a flash in the pan or whether or not it's worth so much more, which is why I think it was a really smart deal to make, because you're guaranteed 2.2 billion. So you're basically, what we're going to probably see is the max contract be doubled. We're going to see everyone's contract be doubled on the spot. I think I would really hope that there is the CBA. They can get rid of the like coring players rules with the way the free agency is. Like you can literally just be stuck in an incompetent franchise for most of your career. Like I would hope that they do that. But that's why you're just seeing players retiring. But like you can see with the way that this money is, that the WNBA has that potential to completely outgrow it. By the way, if it was a WNBA deal was for this season, 200 million is not enough for showing the games this season. We saw the viewership. Like Caitlin Clark's games were drawing more than almost every regular season game in the NBA. The NBA deal, I'm pretty sure, was like 75 billion. Was 75 billion. So they're drawing in similar, like a lot of games are drawing in similar numbers, especially Caitlin Clark games to NBA games. And they made, what, 1/30th of the money? Which again, I think, as of right now, that's probably what the WNBA is worth. I think if they didn't add in the renegotiation option into that, I thought that it was a horrible deal. But they can renegotiate in a time when Paige is in, Juju's in, Flage's in, Malonga's in, Zhang Jiu's in. Caitlin Clark is probably one of the best players in the world. The old guard are out. Taurasi will be done. Age is still going to be there. Breanna Stewart's going to be there, but she's going to be old. You've got, I have a feeling a lot of the like old-fashioned coaches will be gone by then. I think it's going to be a completely new ball game. And I think for the first time in a while, we're going to see players' success from in college and their hype in college translate. And if their hype in college is able to translate, then I think we're all looking at a situation where we're going to be seeing closer to 500 million a year. Like, it's not going to be 7 billion a year like the NBA, obviously, but it's going to be closer to 500 million a year, I think. I think once the renegotiation happens, it's going to be closer to that. And I think within the next 5 or 6 years, we see the WNBA have their first $1 million contract. Yeah, I think that's going to happen. Cheryl Miller saying it's worth 8 billion right now is just false. Like that, no TV executive is going to do that. I think if they could guarantee they could get this season's hype, by the way, if they could guarantee that this hype stays for the next 11 years, you could probably pitch 800 million a year. But that's not going to happen. That is absolutely not going to happen. Especially off 1 year of boom. Like, you're going to have to... you're obviously going to have to see sustained, like, growth and sustained viewership. So, for that reason, I think that it is I think you can definitely argue that they didn't make enough. And I think that's probably a good shout. Because I don't think they made enough straight away. Like, for this year, I don't think based on this year, 200 million is worth it. I think the 200 million is not enough for the year deal, especially when it's 200 million compared to the NBA making 7 billion, and we're seeing the viewership numbers. But I think the way they set it up was good because it's guaranteed 2.2 billion. You're guaranteeing that your top players, if they really wanted it, don't have to go and play overseas. And even your mid-tier players, like, again, the players making 60 grand a year, and you might be saying, oh, it's only 60 grand for 3 months. But yeah, how much it costs to keep your body in tip-top athletic shape for professional sports, those players all have to go overseas, realistically. But no, I think it's a solid deal. It is a solid deal. And it's guaranteed, like, obviously there's guaranteed money. But what Cheryl Miller said was right. She was on the money. So, again, that is my prediction. That's all I think is going to happen, is that the 200 million a year, because obviously they have other deals to bring it up to probably make an extra 60 million annually in other deals. So probably 260 million a year. I think when it's all said and done, by the end of this contract, we could see the WNBA making about 500 million a year. I think it'll even double from that. I don't see it going to the 800 million that Cheryl Miller said, unless there's some crazy inflation. I doubt it's going to go to 800 mil, but it might. It just might. Look, we all know what Caitlin Clark brings as far as a draw is concerned. We all know what Paige Beckers can bring. Juju Watkins, when it's all said and done, like, with how good she was in her freshman year, she's way more popular as a freshman than Caitlin Clark was as a freshman. So there is possibility that Juju Watkins, when it's all said and done, ends up being the most popular of all of these players. And it like, with that happening, 500 million is still low. If Juju Watkins ends up being more popular than Caitlin Clark, which she could, then 500 million is still not enough for this TV deal. But anyway, yeah, that is the video. It's very interesting to see what's happening, and it's exciting for anyone who does aspire to be in the WNBA. You can get unbelievably rich from playing in the WNBA, which a lot of the former players couldn't.